Welcome back to Sir Boat's yacht, where we set sail through the seas of maritime history and naval engineering. Today we're doing something special. We're stepping back in time to explore a ship that has witnessed revolutions, survived world wars, and still stands today as a proud monument of naval craftsmanship. I'm talking about none other than the legendary Russian cruiser Aurora, a Pallada-class protected cruiser launched at the dawn of the 20th century. If you've ever seen her docked on the Neva River in Saint Petersburg, you know this ship isn't just steel and rivets, it's history floating on water. Now, why is the Aurora so iconic? Why does she hold such a sacred place in both Russian naval history and world heritage? It's not just because she's old or big or made of iron, but because of what she represents. Her story is interwoven with imperial ambition, fierce battles, revolutionary politics, and technological transition. The Aurora is a rare surviving example of a transitional warship, combining the romantic look of classic sail-driven vessels with the brutal efficiency of early industrial naval power. So if you're curious about what made this cruiser so advanced for her time and why she's still capturing imaginations today, stick around. Let's begin with the key features. The Aurora is part of the Pallada-class, which included three ships: Aurora, Diana, and Pallada, built for the Imperial Russian Navy. These ships were intended for long-range missions and were especially suited for colonial and Pacific duties. Aurora measures about 126 meters in length and displaces around 6,730 tons. She was powered by triple expansion steam engines and carried a main armament of 8 6-inch 152mm guns, along with a secondary battery of smaller caliber weapons that might not sound impressive compared to today's missile-equipped ships, but in her day this firepower placed her squarely in the top tier of mid-range naval strength. One of the first things you notice about Aurora is her three tall smokestacks, evenly spaced and standing upright like sentinels on the deck. These were used to exhaust smoke from the coal-fired boilers, but today they've become part of the ship's unmistakable silhouette. The green-painted waterline and grey hull are not just visually striking but also functional. The green helped conceal her in shallow or algae-rich waters, while the grey offered camouflage in overcast or foggy conditions. It's a subtle detail, but one that speaks to the tactical design mindset of her creators. The ship was classified as a protected cruiser, which is a term you don't hear often anymore. What it means is that the ship had an armored deck protecting the engines and ammunition stores, but didn't have full side armor like an armored cruiser. This made her faster and lighter while still offering some protection against incoming shells. It was a balanced approach in an era when navies were experimenting with new layouts to find the sweet spot between speed, firepower, and survivability. Now let's move into the design elements that made Aurora not only functional but also elegant. Her long narrow hull was built for speed and endurance, allowing her to travel great distances without refueling. The bow is sharply angled, which helps cut through waves and improves hydrodynamics, while the rounded stern adds stability during turns and high-speed maneuvers. The ship's superstructure is relatively low, giving her a lower center of gravity, which was important for maintaining stability in rough seas. The ship's propulsion system was built around two vertical triple expansion steam engines powered by 20 coal-fired boilers. That's right, 20 boilers, which were operated manually by dozens of stokers working in blistering heat to keep the ship moving. These engines could propel the cruiser to a top speed of about 19 knots, which was quite respectable for her class and era. That speed, combined with a cruising range of over 4,000 nautical miles, made her a versatile ship capable of independent missions, patrols, and fleet support. Let's step inside and talk about interior features. Now keep in mind, this is a warship from 1900, so you won't find luxury staterooms or plush lounges, but what you will find is a highly functional and surprisingly well-organized internal layout. The ship was divided into several compartments, including crew quarters, officer cabins, a galley engine and boiler rooms, ammunition stores, and command centers. The officers lived in relative comfort with individual cabins, wood furnishings, and even decorative touches like brass fixtures and patterned flooring. The crew quarters were more utilitarian, with hammocks or bunks stacked close together, but even here there was attention to ventilation and basic hygiene, which was progressive for the time. One of the most fascinating interior features is the Bridge and command center. This area was fitted with traditional helm wheels, engine telegraphs and speaking tubes used for communication between decks. Everything was mechanical or human powered, which meant that every command had to travel through a chain of people and systems. A simple order to change speed, for example, required coordination between the bridge, the engine room and the stokers deep below deck. It's a marvel of human teamwork and engineering efficiency. Now let's talk about performance. This is where Aurora really shines, because she wasn't just a showpiece. She was built to fight and endure. Her main battery of 8 6-inch guns had a maximum range of about 11,000 meters and could fire at a rate of around 5 to 7 rounds per minute. These guns were mounted in sponsons along the sides of the ship, allowing for broadside attacks. The secondary armament included 75mm and 47mm guns, which were useful for defense against torpedo boats and smaller vessels. Aurora was also equipped with torpedo tubes for close-range combat. Her armor may not have been as thick as a battleship's, but it was cleverly distributed. The armored deck was about 50mm thick and sloped downward at the edges to deflect incoming shells. The conning tower, where the ship was commanded from, had thicker armor to protect senior officers in battle. This smart use of armor, along with her compartmentalized design, made her reasonably resilient even under fire. One of Aurora's defining moments came during the October Revolution of 1917, when a blank shot fired from one of her guns signaled the beginning of the Bolshevik assault on the Winter Palace. That moment turned her into a symbol of revolution and forever etched her name into world history. But even before and after that event, she saw real action. She participated in the Russo-Japanese War, including the disastrous Battle of Tsushima, and later served in World War I and even World War II as a training and hospital ship. Her longevity and adaptability are testaments to her solid engineering and strategic value. So what makes Aurora truly unique? What are her selling points, if you will, for historians, enthusiasts and naval designers? First, she represents a pivotal moment in naval evolution, bridging the gap between traditional sail-powered warships and the fully steel dreadnoughts that followed. She's one of the few remaining examples of this era preserved in near-original condition. Second, she has unmatched historical value, not just for Russia but for global history. Her involvement in the October Revolution makes her a political and cultural icon. Third, she's beautifully restored and maintained, allowing modern audiences to walk her decks, feel her structure and understand her function in a way few museum ships can match. And finally, she's a reminder of the craftsmanship and engineering ingenuity of a bygone era. Everything on the Aurora was built by hand, fitted by craftsmen and maintained by hard-working sailors. There were no digital systems, no AI, no satellite navigation, just steel, steam, sweat and skill. It's an inspiring lesson in what human effort and vision can accomplish. So whether you're a naval enthusiast, a student of history, or just someone who appreciates beautiful design, Aurora has something to offer. She's more than just a ship, she's a story told in rivets and rust, in brass and boilerplate, and thanks to her preservation, she's a story we can still read today. That wraps up our deep dive into the legendary cruiser Aurora. If you enjoyed this exploration of maritime history, give this video a like, subscribe to Sir Boat's Yacht and hit that bell so you don't miss our next voyage from the decks of a warship to the calm waters of your screen. Thanks for sailing with us, and I'll see you on the next adventure.